The Dinar Daily today marks a potentially pivotal moment in Iraq's ongoing economic narrative, as an address from Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has resonated through global financial hubs. For countless individuals worldwide, the Iraqi dinar has been the subject of relentless speculation, tied to hopes and uncertainties surrounding its true value and the long-anticipated process known as revaluation. This time, however, the message was delivered with unprecedented authority, straight from the nation's highest executive office during a live, televised broadcast, lending significant weight to what had previously been confined to the realm of rumor. The Prime Minister's declarations were infused with a palpable sense of confidence, signaling a definitive shift in the country's monetary policy trajectory. Sudani explicitly stated that the Iraqi dinar is poised to fully reflect the immense power of Iraq's economy and its consolidated national standing on the world stage. This bold statement alone has immediately catalyzed discussions and deep analysis, spanning from the bustling markets of Baghdad to the influential quarters of Washington, D.C., effectively transitioning the conversation from if a major currency adjustment will occur to when it will be implemented. We are now tasked with comprehensively dissecting the meaning of this profound announcement, examining its immediate consequences for Iraq, its intricate ripple effects across the Middle East, and the scrutiny it is drawing from the global financial marketplace. For more than 2 decades, the journey of Iraq's financial infrastructure has been an arduous story defined by the struggles of recovery, the necessities of reform, and a spirit of national resilience. Since the pivotal year of 2003, the nation has navigated a complex array of challenges, including protracted conflict, persistent political volatility, systemic corruption, and a financial system that remain heavily dependent on the stability of external currencies. The Iraqi dinar, once a deeply symbolic representation of national pride, consequently became significantly undervalued, subject to stringent controls, and unduly influenced by fluctuating external pressures. Yet, in the more recent past, a carefully orchestrated, quiet transformation began to take hold, primarily under the steadfast guidance of the Central Bank of Iraq, supported by key international partners. This multi-year effort focused on substantial banking sector overhauls, the modernization of digital transaction infrastructure, the rigorous updating of anti-money laundering frameworks, and the comprehensive adoption of stringent international compliance benchmarks. The core substance of Prime Minister Sudani's recent address was a powerful affirmation that these long-gestating structural reforms have now reached their full completion. This milestone signifies that Iraq's entire banking system officially meets and aligns with rigorous global standards, a colossal achievement that effectively eliminates the final obstacles that had been preventing the country from establishing a stronger, intrinsically more valuable national currency. Sudani's televised moment transcended a typical political speech. It served as a clear and unambiguous financial declaration to the world. He initiated his remarks by deliberately highlighting Iraq's dual sovereignty, emphasizing both its economic independence and its political autonomy. The key phrase that resonated most powerfully with financial analysts was his assertion, "It is time for the Iraqi dinar to represent the real value of our nation's strengthened economy." For market observers, this phrase holds significant economic weight, indicating a determined effort toward achieving true economic sovereignty, which fundamentally involves strategically reducing the financial system's overwhelming reliance on foreign currencies, particularly the US dollar, which has historically dominated Iraq's entire trade system. The past year has already seen Iraq systematically pivot away from trade conducted in the US dollar, increasingly choosing to facilitate direct settlements in the dinar with crucial trade partners across the region, including nations such as Turkey, Iran, and China. This strategic de-dollarization not only enhances and reinforces the currency's strength within Iraq's domestic economy but simultaneously signals to the global community that Iraq is resolutely committed to operating as a financially autonomous nation. When the nation begins the process of settling international transactions using its own national currency, rather than relying on a dominant foreign reserve currency like the dollar, it is a universally recognized precursor to securing full monetary control, a condition that frequently precedes a major currency revaluation event. During the expansive and detailed address, Prime Minister Sudani meticulously outlined 5 crucial financial pillars, each representing an essential cornerstone of Iraq's comprehensive economic revitalization plan. The first of these central points was the official declaration that Iraq has fully implemented all the structural reforms previously stipulated and requested by major international bodies, including the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. This extensive reform package encompassed the complete digitization of financial transactions, a dramatic improvement in public sector transparency, and the successful interconnection of Iraq's banking network with robust international systems. For many years, this specific set of reforms had been widely viewed as the critical, missing component preventing Iraq's full integration into the global financial community. With these measures now securely in place, Iraq possesses the necessary foundation to operate at the same advanced digital and regulatory level as other preeminent world economies. The second major point underscored Iraq's remarkable success in meticulously rebuilding its foreign currency reserves. Official government data confirms that these reserves have swelled to record-breaking highs, providing an indisputably strong and stable foundation for a stable and more valuable national currency in the future. This substantial accumulation of reserves naturally instills deep confidence, as investors recognize that the country has the financial capacity to support a new exchange rate without succumbing to the risk of a market collapse. The third and perhaps most captivating detail to emerge from Sudani's speech was the announcement regarding the Central Bank of Iraq's establishment of a brand new exchange mechanism. He carefully characterized this mechanism as a sophisticated tool explicitly engineered to restore balance and reflect true economic value, a carefully chosen phrase that has immediately captured the attention of macroeconomists globally. Historically, nations such as Kuwait and Vietnam employed strikingly similar terminologies immediately prior to undertaking significant currency adjustments. This goes far beyond simple, incremental interest rate modifications. It represents the deep, technical groundwork necessary for a comprehensive revaluation of the strategic recalibration of the currency's intrinsic worth to align with the verifiable strength of the national economy. If this new mechanism is executed with the announced precision, it could very well mark the definitive first phase in Iraq's long-awaited dinar revaluation, a transformative action with the potential to fundamentally redefine the nation's financial identity almost instantaneously. Sudani's fourth cornerstone concentrated on the expanding strategic independence of Iraq from the pervasive influence of the US dollar. He disclosed that Iraq has already commenced conducting direct bilateral trade in dinar with a select number of major partners, successfully circumventing the need for dollar conversions altogether. This represents a remarkably bold and strategically calculated shift. The dollar has historically maintained a near absolute dominance over global oil and trade markets, affording the United States considerable economic leverage. Iraq's conscious decision to significantly expand dinar-based trade clearly indicates its readiness to operate on its own carefully determined financial terms. This move should not be misinterpreted as a complete severance of ties with Western partners. Rather, it represents a crucial act of balancing trade relationships between the East and the West, allowing Iraq to trade freely with both major global blocs. This newfound balance provides Iraq with invaluable leverage, enabling it to autonomously define its economic future without being intrinsically tied to the monetary policy of any single global power. Such an elevated level of financial autonomy is absolutely vital for any country that is seriously preparing for a currency revaluation, as it ensures that the currency's fundamental strength is determined by internal economic fundamentals and national wealth, not by external foreign demand or pressure. Perhaps the single most attention-commanding statement in the entirety of Sudani's address occurred when he delivered the specific timeline for Iraq's next critical phase of financial reform. He stated unequivocally that this new phase would commence before the start of the new fiscal year, given that Iraq's fiscal year traditionally begins in January 2026. This carefully worded phase points directly to a potential timeline beginning in late 2025. That one concrete time frame before the new fiscal year has become the epicenter of global financial speculation. Analysts and investors are widely interpreting this as the most direct reference yet to the specific window during which a revaluation event could potentially take place. If Iraq strictly adheres to this governmental guidance, the widely discussed revaluation could realistically occur within a matter of months, rather than years. This stated timeline also aligns perfectly with existing recommendations from the IMF to strategically stabilize the currency well in advance of the country's next annual budget cycle. This represents the most concrete, high-level time frame that Iraqi government has ever publicly offered, coming directly from the highest-ranking political authority in the nation. The reactions within Iraq following the conclusion of the speech were immediate and demonstrably intense. Financial media outlets, local commercial banks, and investor groups immediately saturated social media platforms and online financial channels with discussions analyzing the profound implications of the announcement. Within a mere few hours of the address, a number of influential international currency tracking platforms began to display prominent pending update notifications adjacent to the IQD ticker, the official code for the Iraqi dinar. While these notifications did not represent live, immediate rate changes, they served as a significant technical indicator that back-end financial systems were actively synchronizing and preparing for a potential forthcoming adjustment. Simultaneously, credible reports emerged from within Baghdad confirming that the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, convened an urgent emergency meeting very shortly after the Prime Minister's broadcast had concluded. Sources privy to the internal discussions claim the focus of the meeting centered squarely on the immediate finalization of technical procedures directly related to the newly announced exchange mechanism. This rapid and coordinated response strongly suggests that Sudani's public announcement was far from merely symbolic. It was a deeply coordinated and operationally ready declaration. Globally, the response has been equally energetic. Reflecting the gravity of the announcement, major international financial institutions in both the United States and Europe, including names like J.P. Morgan, Citibank, and the IMF itself, have reportedly maintained close contact with Iraqi officials in recent months. These private and highly sensitive discussions reportedly focused on ensuring that Iraq's entire banking system remained fully compliant, transparent, and aligned with global regulatory standards. If these critical discussions concluded successfully, as the Prime Minister's confident demeanor strongly implied, it means that the international financial community is not only aware of but broadly aligned with Iraq's new monetary direction. This international alignment is absolutely critical, as a currency revaluation of this potential scale demands not only a state of domestic readiness but also meticulously coordinated international cooperation. Global exchange rates, international trade balances, and interconnected banking systems are all deeply interdependent. For Iraq's transition to proceed without significant market disruption, the existing global financial infrastructure must be adequately prepared to absorb the change. Based on the recent flurry of diplomatic and technical activity, it appears that this crucial preparation is well underway. Furthermore, the broader ripple effects of this announcement extend far beyond Iraq's national borders. A significantly stronger dinar has the potential to reshape regional trade flows and subtly shift the financial balance of power throughout the Middle East's economic landscape. Iraq is recognized as one of the world's largest oil producers, and oil transactions remain predominantly priced in US dollars. Should Iraq proceed to utilize the dinar for a greater share of its oil transactions, it could gradually diminish the long-standing dollar dominance in the region, a geopolitical shift that both Washington and Beijing will be monitoring with intense focus. China, for its part, has been a vocal proponent of settling international trade in local currencies as part of its own long-term strategy to diversify away from the dollar's global hegemony. Iraq's strategic maneuver could thus align perfectly with this emerging global trend, positioning the nation as a financial and commercial bridge between the East and the West, a nation capable of trading freely with both while decisively asserting its own financial independence. For the ordinary citizens of Iraq, this momentous announcement is seen as a profound source of hope, offering the promise of not just greater economic stability but also a much-needed restoration of national pride. For years, Iraqis have contended with a constantly fluctuating exchange rate, constrained access to international markets, and a pervasive feeling that their national currency failed to accurately reflect the country's true oil-derived wealth. Despite massive oil export revenues, significant reconstruction projects, and numerous international partnerships that have pumped billions of dollars into the economy, the perceived value of the dinar has remained artificially suppressed. Prime Minister Sudani's powerful statement that the dinar must represent Iraq's real strength directly addresses this deep-seated public frustration. It delivers a clear message to his populace that the country's dignity and future prosperity are fundamentally linked to achieving full financial independence. For many Iraqis, this unfolding moment is deeply symbolic, representing a long-awaited reclaiming of the national economic identity. Nevertheless, seasoned financial experts continue to offer a note of caution, emphasizing that the pathway to a successful revaluation remains highly complex. The process necessitates exquisite, precise coordination between the central bank, various government ministries, and the complex international financial network. Currency adjustments must be meticulously calculated and phased to successfully mitigate the risks of runaway inflation, major market shocks, or disruptive speculative chaos. This is precisely why Sudanese specific reference to an exchange mechanism is so critical. It strongly implies a structured, methodical, and gradual process, rather than a reckless, all-at-once overnight flip. Some astute analysts postulate that Iraq could initially execute a modest adjustment to the official exchange rate, carefully test their resultant market stability, and then proceed with the full-scale revaluation once the financial systems have definitively proven their resilience. This deliberate, staged approach would effectively mirror successful currency revaluations previously executed in other emerging market economies. If managed with the necessary caution and skill, this process has the potential to establish Iraq as a significant financial success story by 2026. The broader international community has not been idle. It has been quietly preparing for this exact possibility for months. Over the last 6 months alone, several major foreign banks have substantially increased their technical and operational cooperation with Iraq's financial institutions. Technology integration, rigorous compliance checks, and crucial digital platform upgrades have all been fast-tracked. The International Monetary Fund has publicly commended Iraq's fiscal discipline and the nation's record-high foreign reserves, which are now conservatively estimated to be in excess of $120 billion. These colossal reserves furnish the essential financial safety net required to successfully execute a revaluation of this magnitude. They are a clear signal that Iraq possesses the capability to back a higher-valued currency with verifiable, real assets, not mere speculation. Combined with the period of steady global oil prices and a strengthening of political stability, Iraq now fulfills nearly every historically established condition linked to successful currency value lifts. Concurrently, the shifting geopolitical dynamics are increasingly favoring Iraq's position. The country has carefully maintained close, cooperative ties with the United States while simultaneously and aggressively strengthening its economic relationships with major global powers including China, Russia, and key neighboring Middle Eastern nations. This multi-directional, shrewd diplomacy provides Iraq with valuable strategic flexibility, a crucial component for achieving genuine monetary independence. By meticulously balancing its key global partnerships, Iraq successfully avoids becoming overly reliant on any single ally, thereby significantly reducing its vulnerability to external political or economic pressure. This strategic balance is expected to make the dinar a more resilient and credible currency on the global stage. If the revaluation is successfully executed, it could establish Iraq's strategy as a blueprint for other resource-rich nations aiming to reclaim their financial sovereignty and control. Economic analysts also point to the enormous domestic implications of this change. A substantially stronger dinar will directly translate into increased purchasing power for every Iraqi citizen. Essential imported goods will instantly become more affordable, inflation could stabilize, and the value of domestic wages would dramatically increase. Businesses operating within Iraq, across sectors from oil and construction to emerging technology, would experience a surge in investor confidence and significant inward investment flows. However, the government bears the crucial responsibility of ensuring that these benefits are widely distributed among ordinary citizens, not solely captured by large corporations or entrenched elite circles. Sudanese administration appears keenly aware of this necessity, repeatedly emphasizing transparency, digital banking access, and rigorous anti-corruption measures as the foundational backbone of the reform agenda. These steps are absolutely essential for building long-term, sustainable public trust in the emerging new financial system, and key global financial centers like Washington and London. Policymakers are closely analyzing the potential outcomes. A fundamentally stronger Iraqi dinar could exert an influence on regional energy pricing and, perhaps indirectly, even impact the long-standing petrodollar system. While there is no credible immediate threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance, Iraq's strategic diversification of currency settlements could gently encourage other nations to consider similar de-dollarization maneuvers. For the United States, maintaining constructive and cooperative financial ties with Iraq will be paramount to ensuring regional and global stability throughout this profound transition, if handled with diplomatic foresight and skill. The revaluation event can actually serve to strengthen U.S.-Iraq relations by fostering an environment of mutual economic growth and increased trade. On the ground in Iraq, preparations are reportedly accelerating. Local media sources indicate that the central bank is actively developing new public education programs specifically designed to help citizens understand the future currency changes. Mass public campaigns are anticipated to roll out soon to clearly explain the new exchange rates, introduce digital banking tools, and promote critical financial literacy initiatives. This approach aligns with the recognized best practices implemented by other nations preceding major currency events. By proactively preparing the general population, Iraq significantly reduces the risk of widespread confusion or public panic once the new exchange rate is officially implemented. Transparency and comprehensive education are the two vital pillars for maintaining public confidence during such a historic and complex transition. What remains the most powerful and enduring aspect of Prime Minister Sudani's address is its undeniable tone. Confident, direct, and deeply patriotic, he spoke not as a politician carefully hedging promises, but as a resolute leader proudly declaring the completion of a massive national project. Our people have waited long enough. Iraq's dignity begins with a strong national currency, he proclaimed. These words are profoundly resonating across the nation. After decades of immense hardship and external financial influence, Iraqis are hearing their leader promise empowerment through the ultimate goal of financial sovereignty. This emotional and symbolic component of the announcement may prove to be just as impactful as the purely economic one. When a country's citizens develop an unshakable belief and confidence in their own currency, that stability becomes inherently self-sustaining. For international investors who currently hold the Iraqi dinar, this moment may indeed represent the most significant and concrete turning point in decades. While all speculation must always be approached with a cautious and disciplined mindset, the extraordinary alignment of political will, economic strength, and completed structural reforms is now undeniable. With all major reforms completed, foreign reserves at record highs, and a defined timeline now officially on record, Iraq appears closer than ever to fully executing the long-debated revaluation. Analysts broadly anticipate that the coming months will bring increased, clear communication from the central bank, strategic market testing of the new rate, and the final technical readiness checks. If these remaining steps proceed smoothly and without major disruption, the global financial community could very well soon witness one of the most dramatic and important monetary transformations of the current decade. As this monumental story continues to develop, one key takeaway stands above all the rest. Iraq is no longer merely debating potential future actions, it is actively executing a detailed, multi-year plan, from the successful integration of advanced digital banking to achieving global regulatory compliance, from building massive foreign reserves to demonstrating clear political will. Every discernible indicator suggests that Iraq is now in the final stages of preparing to restore the true, intrinsic value of its national currency. For a nation that is still fundamentally rebuilding its identity, This moment is far more than just financial, it is a deeply powerful, symbolic declaration that Iraq is ready and able to stand tall on the global stage once again. Prime Minister Sudani's decisive words have undeniably set that powerful future in motion. In the crucial months ahead, global attention will be fixed upon a specific handful of vital signals, including official updates from the central bank, any legislative adjustments contained within Iraq's upcoming 2025 budget, and carefully worded statements from international monetary organizations. If any of these sources confirm the specific details of the implementation, it will decisively validate Sudani's claim that the new financial phase will indeed commence before the 2026 fiscal year. Until those specific confirmation points are reached, analysts wisely advise discipline, patience, and measured caution, as currency reforms of this scale are monumental undertakings where ultimate precision is the non-negotiable key to success. But for the first time in years, a sustained sense of optimism finally feels truly justified. The world is watching Iraq with a renewed sense of respect and profound curiosity. As Iraq steadfastly prepares for this momentous economic evolution, one profound truth shines brightest: confidence is rapidly returning, a confidence in the nation's leadership, confidence in its governance, and, most importantly, confidence in the intrinsic value of the Iraqi dinar. That confidence, once fully restored, has the power to drive transformative growth faster than any single policy adjustment. With all necessary reforms completed, vital global partnerships firmly secured, and a clear vision for the future now articulated, Iraq stands on the threshold of a historic financial transformation. The Prime Minister's declaration has ignited a fire of powerful expectation across markets worldwide. Whether this change materializes in the next few months or over the course of the next few quarters, one thing remains certain: the long silence surrounding Iraq's currency future has been irrevocably broken, and the world will never look at the dinar the same way again.